this video, I will be speaking about the simple tenses of the verbs in English. So there are three simple tenses in English, namely simple present, simple past, and simple future. Let me start with the simple present tense. When do we use the simple present tense? So one use of a simple present tense is to express a habit or often repeated action. So here you will be seeing adverbs or frequency words such as often, seldom, sometimes, never, etc., which are used along with this tense. For example, she goes to work every day. So the going to work is a habitual action. It happens every day. So here you are using the simple present tense. Another example, they always eat lunch together. So that's a habitual action. That action is done often. So the simple present tense is the appropriate tense to indicate that action. Another use of the simple present tense is to express general truth or fact that are timeless. What do you mean by that? General truth is something that we believe to be true. Okay? So for example, you say, snow falls in December in Minnesota. So it's a general truth or it is a fact that in December, snow falls in Minnesota. So you are using simple present tense there because it's a general truth or it is a given fact. Another example, water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. So you have a set boiling point at 100 degrees. And so it's a fact or it's a general truth. So therefore, the simple present tense is supposed to be used or it should be used. So now, how do we form the simple present tense? So when we form the simple present tense, we will be using verbs, okay, or be verbs like is, are, am, or we can add s or es to the verb if it is singular, or we retain the base form or the simple form of the verb, that is no s or no es to the base verb if the verb is plural. So for example, you say snow falls in December in Minnesota. So we have the verb falls going with snow because snow is singular and therefore our verb must have s. So snow falls. Okay? Another example is water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. Water, singular, and it will have the verb boils, which is also singular. Okay, so that's how we form the simple present tense. Let's move now to the simple past tense. When do we use the simple past tense? The simple past tense is used to indicate exactly when an action or event took place in the past. In other words, we have a completed action here and the indicator is specified. Indicator meaning the past time indicator is given. So for example, I visited my sister yesterday. The action is visited. So it's in the past because we have a clear time indicator yesterday. Another example, we went out to dinner last night. Again, we have a clear time indicator or past time indicator last night indicating that the action was completed at that particular time. So went is our verb. Now the question is, how do we form the simple past tense? What's the formation? We form the simple past tense of the verb by adding d or ed to regular verbs. What do you mean by regular verbs? We call them regular verbs if the verbs can be added by D or ED to form their past. If we cannot add D or ED because we need to change the spelling of the word to form the past, we call that verb irregular. Okay, irregular verb. So for example, the verb write. To form the past, we don't say write, but we say wrote. So we are changing the spelling. So in that case, write, the past is wrote. So wrote is an irregular verb. Okay? Sometimes verbs form their past by just retaining their spelling. For example, cut, hit. So when you form the past of cut, you don't say cutted, but you say cut. You don't say hitted, but you say hit. So those are irregular verbs. Examples here. I attended MJC in 1998. Notice that in 1998 is indicating that the action is completed at that particular time, which is in the past. So we have here attended as our verb because the action is already completed. And notice that we added ed to the original verb or the base verb attend. So we have attended as our simple past verb. Another example. I saw a movie every weekend when I was a teenager. I saw is our verb because the action is already completed. So we need to have a past or simple past verb for it. Moving on. We now go to the simple future tense. When do we use the simple future tense? We use the simple future tense to indicate that the action is still to happen. So there is futurity there. Okay? Now, how do we form the simple future tense? We form the simple future tense by having will plus simple form of the verb. That's one way. Another way is by having be verbs like is, are, am plus going to plus simple form of the verb. So remember, two ways. Will plus simple form of the verb, or with the be verbs plus going to plus simple form of the verb. Let's take a look at the examples here. Thomas will graduate in June. Will graduate is our verb. Notice that it is using will and then graduate as your simple form of the verb to indicate that the action is still happening or is still going to happen in June. So there is futurity there. So will graduate. Now, can I also say Thomas is going to graduate in June? Yes, because we have two ways, remember, in forming the simple future. It's either you have will plus simple form or the be verbs plus going to plus simple form of the verb. So you can say Thomas will graduate in June or Thomas is going to graduate in June. Both are correct for simple future tense. Another example. Maria is going to go to Mexico next week. Notice that we have a future time indicator next week. So it indicates futurity. The action is still to happen. So in this case, we are following the second way of forming a simple future tense. So Maria is going because Maria is singular. So we cannot say are going or am going because am is for I, are is for plural subjects. In this case, Maria is a singular subject, therefore is going should be our verb. And then you have to go, and the full is Maria is going to go to Mexico next week. So we are using now the second way. So probably you would say, can I have Maria will go to Mexico next week? Will it be correct? yes. So you can either say Maria is going to go to Mexico next week, or Maria will go to Mexico next week. So two ways in which you can form your simple future. Okay? Apart from those two ways which I mentioned regarding forming the simple future tense, there is an additional way in which you can form the simple future tense, and that is by using simple present and present continuous to indicate or to express a future action. So this happens when you have a sentence which has connection or which involves schedule. So to explain further, let's look at the examples. She is meeting a new client at 11 o'clock. Our verb is meeting, and this verb or this form is in present continuous. Why present continuous? Because our verb begins with a be verb is followed by an ing form of the verb. That's how we form our present continuous. So in this sentence, we have a time indicator at 11 o'clock, which is yet to come. So this is a future action, but our verb is in present continuous because it says you can use present continuous to indicate a future action involving schedule. So we're talking about time here. So we can use the present continuous to indicate a future action, meaning an action that is still to happen. Okay. Second example. The train leaves at 6 in the morning tomorrow. You have the time indicator tomorrow indicating that the action is yet to happen. So we have the verb. If we look at the verb, the form of the verb is in present tense. Simple present tense, leaves. Am I allowed to use simple present when I mean the action is yet to happen? Meaning when I have a future event? The answer is yes, so long as your sentence involves schedule. So in this case, it involves schedule. So the train leaves at 6 in the morning tomorrow. The verb leaves, which is in simple present form, is allowed, is okay to be used to indicate a future action. So in summary, you can use simple present or the present continuous forms to indicate that the action is yet to happen, but they must involve schedules. So your actions or your sentences must involve schedules for you to appropriately use simple present and present continuous forms. Okay, so I hope you learned something about simple tenses. You need to master your simple tenses before you can level up to the perfect tenses. So if you like this video, if you picked up something valuable from this video, give it a thumbs up and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Thanks for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Yes, don't forget to hit that tiny bell so you will be notified of my next video. See you in my next video, guys. Bye!